Hi, and welcome back to Distilled 4-5. I'm Dan.
I'm Still John.
Still John. And today we're going to be taking a look at one of my bottles. John's graciously given us tons of bottles to review. This one's mine. This is the Laphroaig Cairdeas. This is like a limited annual release that they do once a year. They change it up. This is the Fino cask finished version.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. Cairdeas is friendship in Gaelic.
Exactly.
So this is meant for. It's supposed to be kind of a limited release, but it's supposed to be for friends.
The friends of Laphroaig. It's on the back. So cool bottle. It's always a really neat. They in the past they've used quarter cask, they've used sherry cask, they've used just high ABV, they've used all 100% Laphroaig floor maltings for some. So it's always something unique, something interesting, and it's always at cask strength. Let's get a pour here and let me talk a little bit more about it.
So I will admit, Daniel got me into Scotch. So I like peat, but peat is definitely not my thing. He's a peat head. So a lot of these, I can definitely appreciate peat and good Scotch. I have some awesome Scotch bottlings, but peat is kind of outside of my wheelhouse. So on a lot of these, I definitely defer to him. And not to say like Highland Park, I love some Johnny Walker Black. We've reviewed Kleinlich, which we both really like. Talisker is great, but Laphroaig, Ardbeg, those are still not quite kind of in my comfort zone as far as what I
your palate develops over time.
And so it's one of those things where, you know, as friends that drink whiskey, you know, we kind of rely on each other's palates to make up for deficiencies on our own.
Yeah, absolutely. We learn from each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're going to learn from Daniel right now.
I don't know about that. I'm just going to start by reading the back of the box because it's it's an annual release, so they're all kind of different. This one says, this is a 2018, so it's a 2018 Cairdeas bottling. It showcases a double maturation in first fill ex-bourbon cask. So we're going to get first fill, that's interesting. Going to get a lot of that bourbon characteristics. Cask, then Fino sherry hogsheads. A hogshead is just a way to say the size of a barrel, essentially. And the hogsheads, I think, are they're not like a sherry, but they're pretty standard size.
Yeah, they're bigger than like a bourbon barrel.
They're bigger than a bourbon barrel, but not huge, not gigantic. Sourced from bodegas in Spain, carefully matured between warehouse number 8 and 10. This Cairdeas has notes of toasted almond, dried fruit, and sea salt that perfectly complement Laphroaig's signature peatiness. Barrier filtered, non-chill filtered. The result is a unique expression to be savored by friends of Laphroaig, old and new. So just kind of cool. I think they're all different, and they always try to say something different with each release. And so this is a Fino sherry cask finish. Fino is a fortified dessert wine, right? In Spain.
So essentially what they do, they make wine like normal, and then they take grain neutral alcohol, so more or less vodka, dump it in there, and that fortifies it from it breaking down as quickly. And so
it can be aged.
Yeah, so traditionally or historically, these were wines that would be sent overseas with sailors. Magero is one that would go on ships with sailors, and it wouldn't oxidize as quickly as lower alcohol.
So on long trips, it would last essentially and wouldn't go rancid, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So very cool. Geez, did you see that?
You got a little crazy there.
Oh, well, smell it smells amazing. Man, peaty. Jeez. So Laphroaig is heavily peated whiskey.
Heavily peated.
They're on the Isle of Islay, with Ardbeg, with Lagavulin, Bruichladdich, all those other Bunnahabhain major whiskeys. So let's first look at the color. So it's non-chill filtered and natural color. I would say kind of like a little bit darker than straw. Yeah. And I think it's, you know, Laphroaig is usually pretty light colored. I think that Fino is showing a little bit.
I agree.
The ABV is 51.8, so pretty up there, especially for a Scotch. On the nose, I get peat.
I do too. Yeah, definitely.
And peat's the obvious one, but there is this different hard. It's a difficult nose for me. And
I would call it almond butter because I don't know what else to say. It's not obviously not peanut butter, but there's that Fino
peanut butter is a little bit sweeter.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit more bitter or something, or sharp.
Well, yeah, we definitely don't have the sweetness there that you would get from like a peanut butter, but that almond from the Fino is definitely kind of showing its head.
So you get the peat, which is a given. And it's the typical Laphroaig briny medicinal peat, but it does take not a back seat because it's up front, but there's a sherry influence. It's like a sherry, fruity influence that's there, and it's kind of sharp.
I agree. And some of that sharpness
it's kind of sour. It's sour.
Some of that sharpness is probably from the alcohol content. I mean, 51.8 is a lot for a Scotch.
But this is a sour, almost balsamic meatiness.
And that lends itself to Laphroaig too. That kind of meaty, smoky campfire texture.
Very sharp and very, very medicinal. Which medicinal always sounds bad until you had it in plastic and rubber bands, and
until you have a leche.
Until you have it and how delicious it is. But the nose is terrific, though. I mean, it's complex. There's so much going on.
And for not being a peat head, this is still super approachable.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. So there are layers on the nose that you kind of have to sift through, and you kind of have to get through the smoke till you can kind of digest these other layers. But as someone who isn't as experienced with peat and smoke, this is still very approachable. Please don't be put and think that this, because you're not familiar with peat, that you're not going to be able to appreciate this.
Yeah. Laphroaig traditionally isn't easy access, but I think that this has that Fino finish. Some of the medicinal notes and stuff do take, like I said, more of a back seat, and I would compare it more. It's very different. Let me just first say that. It is very different than a lot of peated whiskeys I've had. But Ardbeg, Ugadal, which is sherry finished peat whiskey, would be probably about the closest. And both of these it's pretty easy access if you're getting into peat.
I already took a drink.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
It's incredible. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I get campfire smoke, and so growing up camping. I remember we'd always throw leaves on the fire, and that's kind of what it takes me back to, is that kind of burning leaf sensation of the smoke.
You know what I get? I'm with you. Well, I'll take it a step further. Even I get, when you put out the fire at like a bonfire and you put it out with the water, and you come back the next morning and it's still smoldering, and it's that wet, earthy fire. That's what I'm getting.
That's all that peat. That's all peat.
It's unbelievable. I would definitely say the fruitiness takes a back seat to the peat on the palate.
I agree. But that's what you want from something like a Laphroaig. You don't. I wouldn't expect anything different, and I would be disappointed if it were, because I want that.
That's what you're buying.
I want that house style. Yeah. I don't want to grab a Laphroaig and it wind up tasting.
The red fruits are still there. But they show up more, initially it's mostly peat, but they show up more, those red fruits show up more on the back end, almost towards the finish. When you're right about to swallow, and it's those red fruits come in, and a little bit of sweetness. I would say you get a lot of salt. It's very briny. It's briny on the nose as well. Phenomenal whiskey. Wow.
And to speak to the finishing style, there are not many Fino cask finished whiskeys out there.
I assume they're not cheap barrels to get.
I would assume that
to age your whiskey on.
I don't know of another Fino. There may be one other out there, and it was a limited release.
I know Tomatin has done a Fino.
Yeah, but and that was in their whole line. They did a whole
Bruichladdich has done a lot of Fino.
Have they?
Yeah, very limited. I've never even seen one to buy, but they've done Fino.
And so Fino is traditionally, it's drier of the sherries, more than Oloroso or like the PX. And so it's not quite as approachable for most people. So the PX and the Oloroso, those are going to be more approachable, and stuff like your Macallans, your Glendronics, even your Balvenis, a lot of those are going to be finished in those, and they're more approachable, and they're sweeter, and they have this different mouthfeel than what this has. Those are very creamy and sweet. This is very dry, and I wouldn't say it's not viscous. It has a really unique mouthfeel, I would say.
I think it's very thick and very oily, but I think that at the same time, and it sounds weird, but especially in the finish, it is a very drying. It's thick and coating, but it does dry your mouth out.
Yeah. And I don't find that those two typically go together.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Man, it's phenomenal whiskey. I think the finish is extremely long. Like I'm still tasting it right now. Like it's incredible. Just goes and goes and goes and goes.
Water really helps this out too, especially if you're not super familiar with peat. On that finish, I get more kind of rubber tires, a little more of that smoke. I don't know if you've ever burned a tire or burned rubber, but that burning, that's the taste I get on the back end, and that's not a bad thing. No. It really is a development kind of in your
you learn to appreciate it more and more. It sounds so off-putting, but it's really not.
It adds complexity and kind of it's very unique. Nothing from Isla, nothing except from Isla tastes like this. Yeah. You're not going to get another whiskey. You're not going to get
and that's the thing. It's just like with bourbons going cask strength. It's like with peat. Once you get an affinity for it, it's an experience that nothing else can really give you in the whiskey world. And so once you start enjoying it, it's just like, man, that's where it's at, you know. So,
kind of spoils you.
Yeah, it kind of spoils you. It's a great whiskey. Would I buy it again? Absolutely, I would buy it again. It's still available. I can still find it for the same price I bought it for. I think it was $80,
which isn't bad.
75.
It's a cask strength.
It's a limited release, annual release, cask strength. It's finished in Fino sherry cask.
That's what you're going to pay for, like a Glenmorangie private selection or something like that. So I mean, it's on par with where everyone else is at, where the other Scotch, special.
I would say if you're a peat head, definitely buy it. If you're new to peat, I don't think you'd be disappointed unless you just absolutely hate peat.
But you might not fully appreciate it.
You might not fully appreciate it yet. I would maybe, if I were you, go buy an Ardbeg 10, go buy a Laphroaig 10, one of the more entry levels.
Or even the Ardbeg Fino.
Spend some time with those.
That was one of the first peated whiskeys that I felt like I could really approach easily because there are different casks involved with it, and it not that it. I don't want to say it mutes, but it allows you to. It's just more approachable. I can't really explain it. But the Ardbeg Fino is a great entry level. Or Talisker 10. Talisker 10 is delicious. And it's readily available. And it's on the whole, it's not super expensive.
If I'd never had peat before, I don't think I would spend the money on this one.
I agree.
I think I would go spend some money on
even the Johnny Walker Black.
$40, $50 bottle. Spend time with it, get used to it, see if it's something you enjoy, and then go splurge and buy something like this if you can find it. But they come out every year. They're different every year. People collect them. They're really cool. I'd definitely buy it again. Yeah, good stuff.
I'd buy it, yep.
Thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button, that like button if you like this video, and there'll be more to come. We'll keep filming videos, get them up for you guys to watch. Thanks for watching, and cheers.
Cheers.